Can't even tell you how many people have texted us that in your podcast you need to get.
We are not building like a super broad platform to teach product and UX and research and data science. That's a very valid approach, but our strategy is to go as deep as possible into just one thing so we can be the best of the world at it. Started as a company to focus on helping aspiring product managers get the first product job. Then we started expanding into more levels of seniority because as there was more maturity in the market and more companies started hiring and building product teams.
I got my internship through a conference, so I know how powerful conferences can be, in-person communication can be.
The next conference, we're bringing the CEO of Figma, Dylan, the CPO and president of Cisco, the CPO of Walmart, the SVP of product at Vercel, literally the who is who in product to share actionable insights. We're in the business of training. The things that I strongly believe won't change and what are critical is
Hello everyone, welcome to Curious Souls. My name is Ankita Mishra and I have with me my co-host.
Hey, I'm Rishab Jolly. I'm a senior PM at Microsoft. Super excited for today's podcast.
Yes, so without further ado, let me introduce today's guest. Well, I'm getting goosebumps. Okay, story time. So when I moved to the US in 2016, I was a student in University of Arizona and I heard about this new cool term coming up, product management. And I'm like, okay, I've heard about software developers, I've heard about business analysts, data analysts, but what exactly is a product manager? I started Googling it and the first link that comes on top of my search is Product School. I go into this website, the school website, and it's like a one-stop shop. It has blogs that I could read. It had like the self-learning material that after school I could take out time and watch those videos and learn about product management. And then it also had, these advisors, lessons from people working in big tech like Google, Meta, Microsoft. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Let me search more about who founded Product School. And I come to know about this guy called Carlos Gonzalez, who is an immigrant himself, who founded Product School in 2014. I'm like, this is so impressive, thinking about an idea and then actually bringing all the product managers and the knowledge towards product management together. And today, I have to pinch myself twice because with us on Curious Souls, we have Carlos Gonzalez. Welcome to Curious Souls, Carlos.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
All right, Carlos. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start off with, tell us about yourself. Like, you coming from Spain to Silicon Valley, launching this huge community, impacting so many millions of PMs out there in the world. So tell us about like what inspired you, how was your journey from Spain to Silicon Valley? And, just walk us through. We would love to learn from you.
Totally. Well, I considered myself an outlier when I was living back in Spain because I loved tech, but I also didn't know what product management was or anything like that. I just knew that I was good with numbers and video games and curious enough to build my own things, but also realized I didn't want to spend the rest of my life coding as a software engineer. However, I didn't know what other options were out there. My dream was always to come to the US, specifically Silicon Valley, because of my passion for technology, businesses, and some of my idols were here, right? So Steve Jobs, for example, or Mark Zuckerberg. So it was always my passion. And the way I came here was around like 16 years ago. I came as a student because that was the easiest visa I could find. So I came as a student, did a master's degree at UC Berkeley, but that was mostly an excuse for me to then take the next steps and eventually start my own company, which is Product School. It's a solution to my own problem because in either engineering school or business school learned anything about product. Like in engineering, it was all super low level about how to build things, but didn't find enough connection to the business side of things. And then in business school, it was all about business, but there wasn't enough connection to how to actually build things. So I found that product was that sweet spot kind of in between both worlds. And that's why I decided to start school that I wish I had when I was getting started. I love that part of the intro you mentioned that you Googled product management and you found Product School. I literally went through the same motion a few years earlier. The difference is that there was nothing, so I couldn't find it. That's why I ended up creating it myself.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I think Product school made product management cool,
That's
for
so
sure.
true.
And I can't tell you, back in 20, so I started, I came to America in 2015, and I was doing my MBA from University of Arizona. And at that time, I could not find any materials on internet to help me prepare for my Microsoft product manager interview. It was only product school. And I think I was into pods. I started listening to podcasts at that time. And back in 2017, I went to Apple podcast and I searched for, like, product management podcast. There was only one podcast, the product school podcast at that time, and that I was hooked on to it because you were having guests from Microsoft, Amazon, Google giving their feedback on what PM is, and that impacted me so much. And I think I owe the fact that why I'm here at Microsoft working for as a senior PM today in Azure is largely also because of product school, the education I got from it. So imagine the impact that you have had.
And you told me about it. So I was like one class junior to him, and he told me that you should go to product school. It has like everything. I searched about it, and then I was there, right, in 2016, that okay, let me search what is product school. But that is brilliant, Carlos. And like I feel there are so many people out in the world who think about creating a business out of an idea. Like you said, there was a need, right? And hence it was, you pushed yourself to create something so magical that you brought all the knowledge at this one place. Entrepreneurship, being an entrepreneur is not easy. And today, Product School has more than 2 million people all over the world who get benefited out of it, whether it's ProductCon, whether it's, reading blogs, reading, or going through your podcast. How did you scale from 0 to 1? Like, what are some early learnings that you can share that brought Product School to this level?
Yeah, a lot of the ideas that eventually become big sound like a great idea in retrospect, but I promise you, it didn't sound like a great idea back in the day because, again, there was literally nothing or not enough about this concept. There weren't really enough companies hiring product managers, so it was a little bit of a leap of faith. At that time, I'm talking 2014, there was a new movement called Bootcamp, and a lot of bootcamps were focused on coding, on training people that didn't know how to code into coders within like a short period of time. And there was huge demand for a lot of companies to hire those coders. So that model really worked for that particular skill. But there was nothing in terms of that format applied to non-coding skills. And we really became that first product bootcamp or non-coding bootcamp. Eventually, it evolved into what it is today, which is a much larger platform with 2 million product professionals. Our core business is still training. The difference is that we focus most of the training into large enterprises. So we'll go into like Fortune 500 companies and help them upskill their workforce, in addition to offering some of our public trainings that you can still find on the website. But anyway, the early days, it was all myself. Like I did all the things that don't scale. I was the instructor for the first 2 years. I was doing all customer support. I was doing all sales. I was basically doing it all, which didn't matter too much because first I loved it, and also I had time. Now I'm married with 2 kids, so it's just a different story, right? But like I have nothing to lose in that at that point. And at the same time, I didn't need to create a huge business from the get-go. Like I've started 2 companies before, and I learned my first share on like what to do or at least not to do. My previous business was venture backed, and I realized that just wasn't a good fit for myself. In this case, I decided to bootstrap, meaning I invested my time and the little money that I had, but at the same time, I also didn't have to spend too much time raising money or trying to create a multi-billion-dollar business from the get-go. So I was able to test the idea really quickly by being the product myself, starting a small class with 8 product managers back in the day and really helping them grow their career. Like they became my marketing team, right? Like if I can help them become successful and get a promotion as a product managers or get their first product manager job, they are the people who are then going to connect me to others. Similarly to what you were describing, right? Like one of you introduced the other person because you had a good experience. So going back to those basics and building something that you care about and starting word of mouth, doing things that don't scale is something that I cannot emphasize enough.
Beautiful. I mean, every journey is so different and like it requires so much of hard work. just quick, like I'm just curious here, like what would you say was your biggest shot? Like, did somebody give you your big shot? When did product school became the product school that everybody's coming to?
So I think it was like a 10-year overnight success in a way. It still feels like that to me, because when I hear people talk about my company, it's like, wow, this is true that there's a lot of things that we've covered, but at the same time, there is so much more that we want to accomplish, that it's good for me to have these moments of like, okay, it's important to also celebrate all the things, the good things that have happened so far. But I would say the early days were extremely tough, not only because I didn't have the money to invest into delegating certain tasks, but also because nobody knew about us. So like my intention was always to create the best brand, the gold standard in product. This is not Carlos School. This is the product school, similarly to what maybe Nike would do with athletes, where they created the platform to really enhance the life of the athletes, and they are the real ambassadors of the brand. I want to do the same for our product leaders. So our instructors today and speakers are all product executives from some of the best companies in the world. Actually, Microsoft is one of those, but Apple, Netflix, Google, Meta, and so on. At the very beginning, I just had to call, message everyone and not give up. And there's one guy in LinkedIn, VP of product there, that was working very closely with the co-founders, and before he was working with Mark Zuckerberg at Meta, actually, who got it. I think he was probably my 400 message or something like that. But he said, yes, I know what you are trying to do. I resonate with the problem because that was me a few years ago and I want to help. And he became the kind of second instructor. And it also created a little bit of a domino effect, because the same way we were kind of leveraging our successful students to then bring more students, having someone like this person as an instructor helped us then have more credibility to go and expand our reach for other instructors.
That's amazing, right?
Beautiful.
I loved how you explained this, Carlos, like how you created an MVP with just 8 people. You tested the idea out, and then you scaled it. I tried scaling it out, and plus also the network effect kicked in, which helped in spreading the word and scale it to the place where product school is. Like, this is the classic case of like building a product and scaling
from
it. So
scratch.
this is amazing, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carlos, for giving us that insight. And I think in terms of cold message, you are our cold message who have agreed to come up on
I was just thinking that.
on our podcast and give us a shot. So we will tell your story to somebody else one day. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have so much empathy for people that cold message.
Yeah.
I still cold message, by the way. And you never know. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that can happen, right? That there's always someone that can say yes, and then you will want to pay it forward.
Yeah, I believe in the power of cold messages. I send cold messages like a lot, because I feel if I get a message like that, somebody is striving to be something and I can help them in their journey. I believe in karma, it always comes back. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Carlos.
Yeah. All right. On to our next question, Carlos. So I'm sure you get this question a lot, but I have to ask you this question because our viewers have been requesting this question. So from your vantage point, Carlos, like you have trained so many PMs out there in the world, right, across so many industries and domains. What do you think are, like, if you have to narrow it down, like a few 2-3 skills like that you really look forward to, or you really want PMs to strengthen on to build that PM muscle? What are those 2-3 skills? Plus, with the AI coming into picture, I saw your email, by the way, today, how you
Yes.
have changed the entire course and focusing on AI. But what are your thoughts about that? I'd love to get your perspective, especially being a PM. Would love to hear from you.
There is two ways I could answer this question. Maybe the things that I think won't change, and the skills that I think are important today, but maybe will change tomorrow. I am thinking about this interview that Jeff Bezos did a few years ago, where he was asked something similarly, and he said, look, the core principles for Amazon, what are the things that won't change in the future, are people will expect low price and fast delivery. Those two things will stay true forever. And then we can talk about the mechanics or different ways to solve that problem. So in our case, we're in the business of training. The things that I strongly believe won't change and what are critical is the ability to learn, adapt, and change very quickly. These will stay true. Like this is table stakes. You need to have that type of hunger to stay curious and persevere. Now, what is top of mind today that might change later is AI. Like, we are doing a huge push on AI skills for product managers. And if you want, we can get into the specific AI skills. I'll give you some examples. So AI prototyping, AI evals, and AI agents today are absolutely critical for PMs to be more self-sufficient than ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. And I love how you said it. Core principles, that's something that won't change. And there are mechanics like AI eval and AI prototyping coming into picture that you'll have to adapt to. I don't know, who knows in 5 years what's going to be next, but you have to constantly learn and adapt if you are in this field. It's not like, you are done and dusted one time, you've read a PM book or something of that sort. You have to be on your toes and keep learning. I love that.
That's so true. Yeah. So that provides a good segue because we get this question a lot, whether it's LinkedIn or by our followers on YouTube, is every app now is on cloud and every feature, product, app is incorporating AI or is planning to incorporate AI. So people who want to get on this AI train, who haven't picked up any course, any learning, if you want to suggest something from Product School, some podcasts like Product School podcast, what are your top maybe 1 or 2 recommendation to such folks who want to get on the AI journey?
Well, we are all about it. I'm on that journey. I started on that journey a few years ago because the same way you mentioned at the very beginning, there was not enough information about product management and we were the first movers. Now, the next big wave for product managers, at least, is AI product management. So we are also becoming the first mover in this new era. And so we built an entire community that offers over 90% of what we do for free. So I think the easiest way, lower barrier of entry, is to just check out our website and enjoy some of our free resources, such as our weekly podcast and some of our free trainings. Now, free doesn't mean that you don't have to put in the work. Free might mean you don't have to pay money, but you still need to invest the time and create the commitment to really show up. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. Now, for people who want to take that next step and they're like, you know what, I'm ready to go. Like, I cannot wait. Then we have our own certifications and the different AI skills. So prototyping, evals, agents. We have others on AI strategy, for example. The common ground for all of our trainings is that, first of all the instructors are not teachers. They are active product leaders working at top companies such as Meta, Uber, Netflix, Airbnb, and so on. So you're really learning from builders, not from teachers.
Yeah.
And they are all happening live online, usually outside business hours. So the idea is that you don't have to put your life or work on hold while you learn on the side.
That is beautiful. Actually, moment of truth, we have done a lot of free courses on Product School when we were in UFA, University of Arizona, and even when we started as PMs at Microsoft, because they were just so nice and you could just take out like maybe 30 minutes, 60 minutes of your life and like just learn about new things. And the course are very well structured. And you can try it today for everybody who's listening.
Yeah. But I love what Carlos said, that free doesn't mean that you don't have to pay money, but you also have to make sure that you invest time and be true to yourself and actually do that. That's extremely powerful. And this is, you actually said it. And I always used to have this thought, like, if I want to learn from somebody, I would hope that person is somebody I want to be in the next 10 years or 15 years. And when you say that, the teachers are people who are actually product leaders working in Uber, Meta, who are actually in the thick and thin of things, and they understand the problems, they understand the scale, they understand all those things. Learning from them sets you up for success, because in future, if you want to be like somebody like them, you will have the same problems, same core principles, you'll use to solve those big scale problems, things of that nature. So that's really powerful. And on that note, taking a slight detour into our next question, Carlos, which is also on AI. These days I feel like a kid in the toy store with so many AI tools out there, right? So many of them. Every week I see something new coming up, right? So from V0 to Lovable to what have you. I want to understand from you, if somebody, early in career or like mid in career, senior PM, what 2 or 3 tools that you would recommend they should start prototyping or play with to make their day-to-day PM jobs easier or more efficient?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm glad that you are already toying with those tools, because there's no other way around it. Like, there's only so much you can learn by just seeing other people do things. You then have to roll up your sleeves and do yourself. So you mentioned Lovable, V0, there are others, Bolt, and so on, that are great for prototyping. We actually partner with them for our prototyping certification. There are so many others for agents, for AI research, for process automation, for road mapping, you name it. And we're seeing kind of two currents. One is pre-AI tools that are now trying to become AI native. So they are introducing an agentic layer to make those tools more appropriate to this new context. But then you are seeing the true AI native companies that didn't exist before. So they don't have legacy, right? And they are applying all of these principles for themselves first. And I think that's a very, very interesting approach. It reminds me also of when I started product school, because back in the day, there were no tools for product managers at all. Like, we had the opposite problem. Product managers were piggybacking on tools created for designers or marketers or engineers. Like, people would still use a PowerPoint to create a roadmap, or would use Excel to create a data analysis, or even Photoshop to create a prototype. Blows my mind. This is the pre-Figma times. Now we are in the opposite extreme of the spectrum. There is an entire new category called product tech. So a lot of tools are created specifically for product teams. And that's where we are now. In terms of, for me, and maybe it's because of my own product nature, I really want to be on top of this, and it's impossible. So I always block time for myself to play with new tools, as well as then incorporate some of those tools into my workflow. Today, I'm very big on Zapier, for example. I've been a long time Zapier user, but in this case, I'm using it more for agentic workflows around filtering my email. My email is out of control. So I get over, I don't know, and this is not a way of bragging. Like, I wish I received less emails, but I get over 200 emails a day. So I created all of these different rules, not only to filter emails, because that existed before AI, but to apply intelligence to how to handle certain emails that cannot just be archived. And that's saving me a ton of time. I'm also huge on Grammarly for writing. For example, again, I've been using Grammarly for a long time, but Grammarly Go, the AI product, is helping me a lot, because first of all, I'm not an English native speaker, but at the same time, it's not about speaking good English. It's getting the tone right. And even though I'm still in the loop, meaning I still review my email and I still review my copy, I can get to 80-90% before I get in, and that saves me a lot of time.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Zapier as well. Building the flow, building the triggers, and then playing around with that makes the life so much easier. I thank you for saying that, Carlos. That just validated my using of Zapier as well. So I'll be even using it now further.
I think I also love Notebook LM, like being in the podcast industry. You would, I mean, it's so cool. The first time I fed my resume into that and somebody just talking about you or your journey, it's like brilliant. And also like research papers as PMs, when we go through the various user research, customer research data, it's so easy to, grasp that while driving a car or on your commute. It's beautiful. Yeah, so drum rolls, we are going to talk about ProductCon now. We touched briefly in the start about it. So everybody watching, it's on October 8th. It's happening in San Francisco. And we just want to know, the audience wants to know, Carlos, what is ProductCon? Why should somebody attend it? And what is changing this year with the AI coming into picture? If you can give us a scoop.
Yeah, so ProductCon is the largest conference for product leaders. We started the conference series in 2018, and we host this conference 4 times a year in San Francisco, New York, London, and online. So the next stop is in San Francisco on October 8th. We're expecting over 1,000 product leaders in attendance, and then over 10,000 more people will join us online. All the online tickets are free, by the way. The intention is to bring the community together and continue pushing the boundaries. So even though most of our resources and trainings happen live online, I believe it's important to have some sort of in-person touch point. So this is the opportunity. And so as an example, for the next conference, we're bringing the CEO of Figma, Dylan, the CPO and president of Cisco, the CPO of Walmart, the SVP of product at Vercel, the CPO of Walmart. So literally the who is who in product to share actionable insights. That's the other thing. It's not just about bringing cool speakers on stage. It's about breaking down how you actually build products, And so I'm very involved in this just to make sure that this is an amazing learning opportunity for everybody. And then we also record and share all the content on our social media channels for free with the community.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm so looking forward to it. I feel like, Carlos, one thing I've noticed, especially about myself, is like when you're in one team or like one company, you sort of like lose the sight of how things are being done out there in different companies and different, startups or like a huge multinational company like, Google or something of that sort. When you meet people from those different companies in person and you learn from them, you're like, oh, wow, I did not even think about it. Let me add that perspective to my product or my way of doing PMing way, and then that just flips that, and that you're able to do your job way better because you just had that outside perspective, somebody else coming with different principles, different values, bringing in that picture for you. So having those kind of experiences for PM is extremely valuable because you have so many conferences for developer, for SREs, for this and that. But I think for PMs, this is like one of the few conferences, and having such conferences for folks like us is like really powerful and something we look forward to every year.
Yeah. And +1 to that, I got my internship through a conference, so I know how powerful conferences can be. In person communication can be. I think COVID changed the world, but now we are getting back on track and like coming back together. And there's something so powerful like meeting people in the same domain, learning from them, going and grabbing coffee with someone, who lives across the world and talk about the products or features that you're launching or working on. It is brilliant. And I cannot now wait to attend, fingers crossed, the next ProductCon, wherever it is happening, in person.
You know what's crazy? I mean, we've been around for so long now. It's 12 years. Kind of feel old. I used to be like a super young startup. I was like, shit, we are now 12-year old. We are not a startup anymore in that sense. But like some of our early graduates are now product executives at large companies. So one of our speakers is actually an alumni from long time. And it's really amazing to see how all of this is now starting to come full circle. Another thing I would say to your point around focus, that was like a key decision that I made early days, which is we're going to hyper focus on product. We are not building like a super broad platform to teach product and UX and research and data science. That's a very valid approach, but our strategy is to go as deep as possible into just one thing so we can be the best of the world at it.
Yeah, that's working. That's brilliant because I know very few companies that are doing that heavily on product management. Like there are other websites where you can do courses on various themes. But Product School, like we said in the start, is like one-stop shop manager or learn about product management.
I think this is like the classic product learning over here as well, that narrow your goal and focus on like one thing versus boiling the ocean at once, and you'll see better results. So I mean, Carlos has done everything that he teaches to build this product community and like scale it. And so this is like a classic example. On that note, Carlos, I would love to understand from you, like, Ankita and Ankita also has like a girl squad community over here in Seattle with thousands of like, females connected, women connected, and they talk about certain things. And we have a podcast for curious souls and a community as well. But from you, I want to understand, like, how would you see Product School? Would you see Product School as a community, as a product, as a platform, or as a combination of all these three coming together to form one thing? Like, how do you view this? Like, I would love to understand so that, going in the future, if we have plans to do something of this sort, we can learn from you.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you the tagline answer, and then I'm going to break it down for you.
Perfect.
It's more complicated than it sounds. Okay. So the tagline is we're the global leader in AI training for product teams. I can guarantee you that wasn't the tagline 12 years ago. We evolved a lot. Started as a company to focus on helping aspiring product managers get the first product job. And that was what the market needed at that point, because there was absolutely nothing. So we had to kind of create that type of momentum first. And that, by the way, I cannot take full credit for it. I think I also got the timing right by luck, because products started growing, and now it's mainstream, and now we see a lot of chief product officers, and we don't even have to explain why it's important to have a chief product officer. But back in the day, there was no CPO. There was a chief technology officer or a chief marketing officer, and product was kind of the person in the corner, if anything. So that was the early days, focused on consumer too. Then we started expanding into more levels of seniority, because as there was more maturity in the market and more companies started hiring and building product teams, we realized it wasn't just about breaking into product, it was about growing as a product leader, from PM to senior PM, director, VP, and eventually chief product officer. So we developed the programming around the different levels of seniority. And then that was kind of the second evolution of the company. I think the third one was COVID. Back in the day, we were focused on in-person training. We had 16 physical campuses all over the US, plus London and Toronto. So when COVID happened, we had to open campus number 17 called online. And that campus is now the only campus, because it started growing so fast. And by the way, we had no other option to grow the rest of the campuses. That forced us to focus on the same type of product training, but live online. And that worked really well for us. That was the third evolution. And the fourth one, and I promise there are only 5, was enterprise, the move from consumer to enterprise. Because to this day, most of the students that take our public trainings work at companies, and in many cases are being reimbursed by their companies. So that gave us the opportunity to then go inside those companies and create custom trainings for their employees, right? Classic bottoms up motion. You have some people who are loving the product, and that gives you the opportunity to then expand from within. And then the last one, which is what we announced literally today, was AI training. So it's not just training or product training, it's AI focused training for product teams to help teams become AI native.
That is beautiful. I think another tagline can be, you made product management cool when it was not that cool, right? I think Product School brought product management in the limelight. And that's like any big product. If you think about YouTube, Airbnb, when people would have not thought about it, those ideas came and then they became so popular in a span of 5 to 10 years. But it took that groundwork to become popular.
Yeah. So this is just me, Carlos, trying to learn from you. So when you say tagline, I assume you say like the mission, right? And then mission, sort of like, a lot of companies, whether it's Google, Microsoft, they have a mission and they pivot, right, based on the market needs and stuff like that. And then when the mission pivots, they change their product strategy as well to accomplish those missions, right? So would it be right to say that the tagline that you have is like the mission of Product School right now?
Well, I would make a distinction between the mission and the tagline, because for us, the mission only changed once.
I see.
Our original mission was to help product managers grow their careers. Mm-hmm. And that was true for the first 5 years or so. And then we evolved that mission into helping companies build better products because of our focus now on large enterprises.
Right.
But within the mission, which is fair to refresh, to your point, every 3, 5, 10 years, as soon as you think that you either accomplish the mission or the mission is not serving you well enough, the tagline gives us more flexibility to change faster. It's more about like the pivots or the hard evolutions of your product to better serve the mission.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Like that.
Okay, so we are moving to the last segment, which is kind of rapid fire. These are some of the questions we read about you, we researched about you, and we wanted to ask, which we are definitely sure will help our audience all over the world. So the number one being, Carlos, we read that you wanted to be a soccer player and then you pivoted to coming into technology. Very different fields. Okay, so what advice do you have for the young generation or people who have like these brilliant goals or, 2 or 3 ideas, when to pivot and when to persist in life?
Yeah, don't become a soccer player. As someone pointed out to me, first of all, I wasn't good enough. But if I was a soccer player today, I probably have no knees and no money. So I think the same way we're talking about evolving your own mission for your company, I think it's important to revisit your own mission for yourself, like what you want to be when you grow up as you continue growing in your life. Look, I was born in Spain. Everybody there, most people there want to be soccer players. That's kind of, I think, the manifestation of success in a way. So that's why I think I followed that trend. But I think deep inside, what I meant is that I treat life or business as a sport. I consider myself someone that works hard, that is very curious about learning and tries to move fast. So now one of my sports is business, and I try to apply the same type of mindset to what I'm building.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Very inspiring.
I'm extremely happy that you did not become a soccer player, Carlos, because we PMs benefited a lot from that.
Product school, yeah.
Speaking selfishly, I'm very happy. But on to our next question, Carlos. So, wherever I go and whichever leader I talk to, they talk about failures a lot, because that's a very important part of your success. If you're able to learn from your failures and grow from your failures. So I would love to learn from you, like, what are some failures that you went through which actually helped you in reaching the point where you are today, and achieving your mission and your vision that you set out for yourself?
This is a tricky question for me, because that implies that I'm already in a position to give advice, and I think I can share experiences that didn't serve me well, more than telling people what to do. And look, one thing I'll tell you for sure, two things. One is that, to me, this is my third company. So we're just talking in the context of business. My two previous businesses weren't successful at all. So I think there is something around not giving up. Sometimes winning is not dying. It's really not finishing first, because a lot of the games are not zero-sum games. Like the reason why most companies fail is not because of competition. It's usually because of something else. It's because maybe they couldn't find product market fit, or they had a big fight with their business partners, or other circumstances, right? They ran out of money, whatever that might be. So I think thinking of business not as a zero-sum game, but as a space where multiple people can win, and that the definition of winning, first of all, is your definition. It's not raising X amount of millions, having a team that is of a certain size, having an article featured on the media. I think it's very important. But also, a lot of times winning is not dying. So just by being alive and staying open-minded enough to continue making adjustments can be a really good way to have more shots on target.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful advice. I love that, because whenever I think our generation, millennials or Gen Z, when they think about failure, they are like, okay, we have failed. We are not good enough. But I think there are so many layers. One is failing. The other is believing you're a failure, right? And everybody fails in their life, whether it's personal life, professional life, XYZ life. And it's like, it's all about your mindset. And that was such a beautiful piece of advice. Thank you, Carlos. I think the last question then is the quintessential question of, like, what is one piece of advice that you will give to 25-year-old Carlos?
Oh my God, I have no idea. My kids are 6 and 8. So I think a lot about what am I doing with my kids? How can I better support them? So I don't think I'm in a position to give this type of advice. So maybe I can copy a piece of advice that I actually learned from Bill Gates. And not because I know Bill Gates, but because he shared that. He said that as you start getting busier and your company start growing, and it's so easy to kind of get preoccupied with so many different things, so many people trying to pull you in different directions, and next thing you know, your calendar is packed with a bunch of things that maybe are not that relevant. So trying to protect your time and be more thoughtful around what really is going to move the needle for you as a business person, as a parent, or in whatever endeavor you are pursuing. I think it's something that has served me well. And not because I had the luxury of do it myself. It's because when I got married, I realized now I have less time for myself. When I had kids, then I realized I also have less time for myself. And I don't use that as a way to criticize that. It's actually the opposite. It forced me to be more intentional when I spend time with kids, with my wife, with my team, and also with myself for practicing sports or taking care of myself when needed.
I think that's said so beautifully, especially whether it's a personal life or my professional life, wherever I'm trying to do something in my product management area. With 10 meetings on the calendar and people trying to pull me in different directions, it's so hard to get lost in stuff and not carving out time for you to learn for yourself and like focusing on only one or two things that will actually move the needle and get you to the place where you want to go. It's so easy to get lost. So I mean, I think that's also one of the core, I'd say, skill a PM needs to build over time as they move up the ladder. That they need to learn how to prioritize. They need to be very intentional of where they're spending time and what they're putting the energy in. So yeah, thank you for reminding us that, Carlos. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. And on that note, we're gonna put up the links for ProductCon, Product School. Carlos is also the author of the best-selling book, The Product Book, which is actually based on the Product School. We'll put all those links below. But thank you so much to everyone watching Curious Souls. And thank you so much, Carlos, for coming to Curious Souls and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your learnings with us, because there are so many people out there who dream of becoming an entrepreneur or getting into product management, getting into tech, but they don't know where to start. And I'm very sure this podcast is going to help hundreds of them or get inspired and like follow their heart and follow their journey.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
Thank you. And I think I was going to say that thank you two for making it happen. I also host a podcast, so I know the amount of work that goes behind the scenes to research, to get the technology right, and then the distribution. And I was going to say, in the spirit of cold messaging, I know that all of us have tried and continue to do that. Mm-hmm. If anyone feels compelled to connect with me on LinkedIn and wants to send me a message, is there anything specific I can help them with? Feel free to do it. I make a point to review my inbox every once in a while and try to get back to people, because I know that can make a difference for some. Like at least it did for me at some point.
Absolutely.
Thank you for saying that, Carlos, and thank you for being so open. On that note, we will have a link for Carlos's LinkedIn page as well, so you can connect with Carlos. And all right, folks, this is the end of our podcast. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let us know in the comments who would you want us to interview next. Thank you so much for watching. Be curious.
Thank you.